Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. Today, it's just me, Sumé, and I'm going to talk about a topic that is quite popular this time of year, this early on, and that is back to school. We all know that this can be quite a struggle, especially after the December holidays, where the children might struggle a little bit. So today I'm going to talk about the struggles and just take everyone through what these struggles might be, what to prepare yourself for, what you might have already started to see, and how to handle it, how to help your children. So I'm just quickly going to get my screen ready to share, and then we'll get right into it. Okay, so back to school. It is I think it's a topic that we touch on every year this time, because it affects children so much. But now the question is also, why is it so hard or difficult for children to go back to school? The thing is that it's a complete mind shift. It's a neurobiological shift for children. There's new routines, it's a new environment, new expectations, and with all these new things, there's the company of big feelings, which is a normal adaptation. It's really, I know for myself, every time I went back to school, especially after the December holidays, I would 2 days beforehand start packing my bag because I knew that is going to help prepare me just a little bit more emotionally for going back to school. So that was one of my coping mechanisms to go back. Then I want to talk about why, so we said in the previous slide, why is it so hard to go back to school? And it's because it's the brain's job to detect uncertainty. Okay, so after a December holiday, we've spoken about the new environment, everything like that. It's a new classroom for the children. It's new friends. It's a new teacher. So there's a lot of uncertainty. Yes, they might be going back to exactly the same school, but the immediate environment is going to be different and it takes time to adapt. So when the routines shift, the brain activates the alert system. There's red lights going off. So you're going to start to see clinginess, resistance, maybe a little bit defiance, some worry, emotional outbursts, moments of, I don't want to go to school. And this is a time of year when we receive a lot of questions from parents regarding, should I be looking into individual sessions for my child? Should I, what can I do? Should I be worried? And a lot of times, or the majority of the time, our answer would be to the parents is just give it a waiting period. Give it a few months for your child to just settle in, 1 to 2 months, for your child to settle in, get used to the new environment. This does not mean that there's no way for you to support them, but it does mean that it's not something that you should be worried about right away. So these signs that you see on the screen now, that's not misbehavior. It is a neurological recalibration of your child's brain. Because now it goes into, it needs to shift a little bit, and that can take time. And it really depends on from one child to the other. I work with so many different children on a daily basis. And we always say that one thing that we do at Aldea is to personalize our sessions 100%. So what I might be doing with this child to help them adapt, to help them through change, I cannot use that same strategy, same intervention plan with a different child, because it might not work that effectively. So even in your household, I'm sure if Cherie was here, she would tell you about her two boys that differs like night and day. The one would, you know, draw back a little bit more, whereas the other one, it's completely different. So the other one would be a little bit more out there. So just between your own children, recognize that it's important that you do not try and use the same coping mechanisms, the same strategies to help both of them, or all your children. So we're going to go through a few today, but I would like to look at and finish the subject of why it is so difficult and so hard for children to go back to school. So as we all know, schools are overwhelming environments. Before the holidays started, we did a podcast on why the holiday season can be so overwhelming. And it's important to note that with every season, there's a change. So there was a change going from school routine to holiday routine, being overwhelmed during the holidays, and how you can help your child in that time versus them having to go back to school now. So they got used to the routine of being at home and the home environment where, yes, there's a lot of people, yes, there's a lot of things happening, but it's different from going back to school, where there's loud classrooms, bright lights, movement everywhere 24/7, a lot of bodies in one space where when they're home, they can maybe just take some time for themselves in the garden or in their own room or something like that. Where at school, it is a lot of bodies consistently throughout the whole day with multiple instructions, and then changing periods or changing activities if you still have younger kids. So a child's nervous system has to process all of it, and it has to happen quite quickly, because when you're in school, the school's not going to wait for you to adapt or to adjust. You just need to do it. So what you may notice when your child goes back to school is, or irritability when they come back. After school crashes, we always say, you know, there's some children where you can see an external meltdown. With other children, you don't. And it's very necessary to be alert with regards to that. So your child might come home, have an emotional meltdown. Eventually, when you have your first teacher-parent feedback evening or meeting, they might tell you, you know what, your child is such an angel at school. They're following all the instructions. And you're thinking by yourself, well, how? Because when they come home, I experience the exact opposite. And that is because your child might be masking their emotions. So basically what happens is they keep calm, they keep everything together, follow instructions, do everything beautifully at school because they don't want to get into trouble. But right when they get home, they're in their safe space. They know they can let go of these emotions. They don't necessarily know how to, though. They don't know how to regulate that overflow of emotions, sensory overload from the day. And that is where you come in as a parent. And that's what we're going to talk about just now. Because I know for myself, I have some sensory difficulties, especially when it comes to sound, to noise. It can overwhelm me very easily. So, that's when I need to regulate myself. And when you as a parent or as a caregiver or as a teacher or whatever role you may play in the lives of little ones, that's where your role comes in. So you may notice more sensory sensitivity at home, or trouble sleeping. So that's on our next slide. I want to tell you about a couple of things that you can maybe do to help support your child. So It's important to start a week or two before they go back to school. Start easing them into everything, easing them back into it. Because if you are going to expect of your child to just pick up where they left off last time they were at school and pick up their routines, it's going to add to the irritability, to the tiredness, to the frustration, to the lack of emotional regulation that they are going to experience. So in order to make it a smoother transition, not only for your child, but for you as a parent or a caregiver as well, it will be important to start them off a week or two before they go back to school. So start implementing things like earlier bedtimes, consistent wake-up times. Yeah, it might not necessarily have to be as early as when they go to school, but start just having a consistent time at which they have to wake up. Practice packing their bags, even if it's just for something like going for an outing. Lunchbox and clothing prep. Once again, you don't have to get them into that mindset 2 weeks before they have to go to school. But so they don't necessarily have to put out their school clothes, but maybe just putting out their clothes for the next day, or packing a bag for the picnic that you guys might have the next day. Just getting them into that mindset, into that consistent routine, because even though it might not be the same clothing or the same bag or a school bag, it is going to give them that sense of consistency, that sense of stability for when the rest of their routine changes. And that is what you want to give your child to help them through that changing period, is to give them little bits and pieces of consistency that grounds them throughout that time. And then limiting screens before bed. Very, very, very important, because it's also going to help them shut down their brains a little bit, shut off, so that they can get a good night's rest. And that rest is going to be very important as soon as they go back to school. You'll also see the change in their emotional regulation, their level of emotional regulation when they do that. Another thing that is very important is to prioritize connection before instruction. So once the children go back to school, instead of directly after school asking them anything, how was your day? How's your new teacher? How's your friends? How many friends did you make? What's your friend's name? What did you do in class today? Did you start working? I feel overwhelmed just mentioning all of it right now. So just take some time. Instead of asking anything or giving instructions about go put your bag where I told you always need to put it, take out your lunchbox, start with your homework, take off your school clothes, things like that. Start with a simple hug, water and a snack, 10 minutes of just child-led play where they give the instructions, where you sit with them, you connect with them during that playtime and just ask them, what do you want to do? Because remember, this entire routine change puts them out of control of their daily routine, out of control of their choices. Where it used to be during the holidays, now they don't have any control over it. So 10 minutes of child-led play, just give them that feeling of being in control again of their environment. And another idea is to just give them some quiet decompression time. So just give them some time to just go and lie down, play with something, just quietly in a quiet environment, so they can just decompress from whatever happened throughout the day. And then you can ask them questions. Then you can ask them, okay, please go put this where you always need to put it. Please take out your lunchbox, because now it's one thing that has been handled, and they don't have to worry about that anymore. Whereas if after school you're just going to keep piling on, then it's going to be like the Coke bottle that we mentioned in one of our previous podcasts where you just add mints to the Coke bottle and it's going to explode. And at the end of the day, it's going to have a negative effect on your child and on you. So just give them time and ease them back into it. That connection that you make with them regulates their nervous system far more than correction. Prepare your child emotionally. So talk through what will happen, who will be there, what to expect, what they can do if they feel overwhelmed. What I like to suggest at times is doing things like, if your child goes to a school where you can maybe find pictures of it on the internet, sit next to them, look at the pictures, ask them, do you think you're maybe going to go and play there? What do you think you're going to do? Because that makes the new environment a lot more known to them before they go there. So when they go there, they're like, oh yeah, I looked at this with mommy or with daddy or with whoever took me through it. And it's going to make it a lot more easier, that transformation that's needed. So who will be there? If your child is going to a new grade, you can talk to them about their new teacher, or even if you might not see your friends in the classroom anymore, you can still see them during break. So you are preparing them and helping them get out of that situation of thinking negatively the entire time about everything that's going to be new, and reminding them about the things that's already known to them. And then going through some coping mechanisms of what can you do when you feel overwhelmed. Once again, it's just emotional prep for when they go back. And use phrases like, it's normal to feel nervous, you're safe and you're not alone. New things take time to get used to. Because the validation that you give them in that moment strengthens their resilience to go back to school, to experience the new things, and to know that it's okay. Then there's always extra support for sensitive children. So things like sensory tools and movement. Okay, there we go. So really just preparing your child if they need extra support. Giving them the sensory tools or the movement to get rid of that frustration or the extra emotions that they might be feeling. Practice routines at home. Which is something to also just prepare them for what is coming at school. Creating a goodbye ritual. This is something that is very, very special and that could truly just take your child through the day, because it is something that they know is coming, and just having that special moment with you, instead of just going, okay, the entire morning is rushed, okay, now I'm just dropping you off at school and going to work, and your child feels flustered and they feel irritated and they feel like they don't know what way to go. Just taking that few seconds, even if the rest of the morning was rushed, just taking the few seconds to do the goodbye ritual with your child is going to mean the world to them. Because that puts them at ease, it puts their mind at ease that you are okay, they're safe. And then also making sure that even if the morning was rushed, that you have a slow evening, especially at the beginning of the school year when there's still a lot of adjustments to be made, making sure that the evenings are slow. So I really hope that this has helped a little bit in just making sure that you are able to recognize what's happening in your child, not feeling fearful for any behavioral changes that might take place, and then also just giving a little bit of support from our side at Aldea, in making sure that you as parent or caregiver is also supported and ready for the new school year to start. I hope that everyone enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time in our next podcast. Thank you, everyone. Bye.